What is real power? It is not the power of a king to command his subjects. It is not the power of a billionaire to buy compliance. The truest, most profound power on earth is the quiet ability to have the world want to help you. It is the art of making people your allies, not because they have to, but because they genuinely desire to. Most of us go through life trying to win people over with the wrong tools. We use the hammer of logic, the crowbar of argument, the chisel of criticism. We treat human beings like computers, assuming that if we input the right data, we will get the right response. And we are left confused and frustrated when it fails. This is because we have forgotten a fundamental truth, one understood by the great philosophers and observers of the human soul. People are not creatures of logic. We are creatures of emotion, driven by the ancient, powerful currents of pride, desire, and the deep, aching need to feel important. To navigate this world successfully is to become a social artist. It is to understand the medium you are working with, the beautiful, flawed, and complex material of human nature. This journey of mastery happens on 3 canvases. Part 1. The canvas of the self, mastering your approach. Before you can influence anyone, you must first master your own approach. The first and most important discipline of the social artist is to put down your most useless and destructive tool, criticism. It feels so right, doesn't it? To correct someone when they are wrong, to point out a flaw, to offer constructive feedback. But this is based on a false assumption, that the other person will see the logic in your criticism and change. The truth is, 99% of people, no matter how flawed their actions, do not blame themselves for anything. Think of a notoriously difficult boss. Let's call him Mr. Harrison. He micromanages his team, publicly criticizes small mistakes, and creates a culture of fear. His best employees are quitting, and morale is at an all-time low. But if you could hear Mr. Harrison's inner monologue, you would not hear a villain. You would hear a hero. He tells himself, "I am a high-performance coach. I have impossibly high standards, and I am pushing my team to be excellent. The ones who leave are simply too soft for this level of competition." In his own mind, he's not a bad manager. He is a forge, creating strong employees out of weak metal. Now, imagine walking up to Mr. Harrison and saying, "Your management style is toxic." What would happen? He would instantly become defensive. He would justify his actions, label you as oversensitive, and your relationship would be permanently damaged. Your criticism, no matter how true, will always fail, because it attacks his ego, the very foundation of his identity. This is why the great Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius prepared for his day by remembering, "The people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." He did this not to become cynical, but to become prepared. He knew that to criticize others for their nature is as absurd as being angry at a rock for being heavy. It is a waste of your energy. Criticism does not open minds. It forces them shut in self-defense. The true social artist understands this. They put down the useless hammer of criticism and instead learn to work with the grain of human nature itself. Part 2. The canvas of the other, mastering their world. So, if the hammer of criticism is the wrong tool, what is the right one? The social artist knows this. To influence someone, you must stop thinking about what you want and become obsessed with what they want. You must, as Dale Carnegie said, bait the hook to suit the fish. This requires 2 skills: finding their want and validating their worth. First, find their deepest want. The French philosopher Blaise Pascal wrote, "People are generally better persuaded by the reasons which they have themselves discovered than by those which have come into the mind of others. Your goal is to make your idea feel like their idea by aligning it with their pre-existing desires. Let's return to the difficult boss, Mr. Harrison. An employee on his team, Amelia, has an innovative new project she wants approved. She knows from part 1 that directly criticizing his old methods will fail. So, she studies him. What does Mr. Harrison truly want? Not happy employees. He craves status and wants to look like a visionary genius to his superiors. Amelia reframes her entire pitch. She doesn't present her project as a way to fix the team's problems. She presents it as a bold, high-prestige initiative that will make him look brilliant and forward-thinking to the board of directors. She makes the project about his glory, but she needs to get his attention first. This requires the second skill: give sincere appreciation. The psychologist William James said, "The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated." Amelia starts her pitch by saying, "Mr. Harrison, I was inspired by your commitment to high standards, and it got me thinking about how we could apply that same drive to a new market." She has done 2 things masterfully. She has validated his own heroic self-image, high standards, and baited the hook with what he wants to be seen as a visionary. Mr. Harrison, now feeling respected and seeing a path to his own glory, enthusiastically approves her project. Amelia got what she wanted, not by fighting his ego, but by feeding it. Part 3. The canvas of interaction, mastering the exchange. Once you have mastered your own approach and understood the world of the other, you can master the interaction itself. This involves 2 final artistic skills. First, build a bridge of yes. The ancient Greek philosopher Socrates was one of the most persuasive men who ever lived. His method was simple. He never told anyone they were wrong. Instead, he would ask a series of questions that his opponent had to agree with. Each yes was a step across a psychological bridge. Once a person has said yes multiple times, it is very difficult for them to suddenly say no. A salesperson, David, is trying to sell a new software package to a skeptical client. He doesn't start with features. He starts building a bridge. As I understand it, you're looking to reduce your team's administrative workload, correct? The client says, yes, and having a single unified platform would be easier than the 5 different apps you're juggling now, right? Yes, it would, the client admits. And if you could save each team member 5 hours a week, that would be a significant benefit for your bottom line. Yes, of course. After this series of agreements, the client is in an affirmative, open state of mind. When David finally introduces his product as the solution that achieves all these things, the client is already psychologically primed to agree. Second, bestow a noble motive. People rarely act for only one reason. They have their real reason, and they have the beautiful, noble reason they tell themselves. The social artist understands this and always appeals to the higher motive. You are not manipulating them. You are appealing to the best version of themselves. A landlord has a tenant who wants to break their lease 6 months early. The landlord could just say, "No, the contract forbids it." This creates an adversary. Instead, she says, "I understand that circumstances change. However, I have always seen you as a person who honors their commitments and has a strong sense of personal integrity. A contract is a promise, and I know how seriously you take your word. Let's work together to find a solution that both helps you move and honors the agreement we both made." By appealing to the tenant's desire to see themselves as honorable and full of integrity, The landlord has made them a partner, not an opponent. They will now work with her to find a new subletter, because they want to live up to the noble motive she has bestowed upon them. The social artist first masters themselves, laying down the weapon of criticism. They then master their understanding of others, learning to see the world through their desires. And finally, they master the interaction itself, building bridges of agreement and appealing to the nobility within people. These are not tricks to get what you want. They are principles of a deeper understanding. They are the recognition that human nature, in all its prickly, prideful, and beautiful complexity, is not an obstacle. It is the very canvas on which a better, more cooperative, and more successful life is painted. When you learn to work with it, instead of against it, the world will not just give you what you want. It will be an honor to do so.